Grieving boyfriend changed mind about children. I've 27F, been with my partner, 27M, for 3 years, living together and sharing a dog. Our relationship was great and the best I've ever had. We rarely fought, but when we did, we communicated. A few months ago we got into a fight during his exam week and he decided it best that he temporarily stays with his parents. Unfortunately, he caught COVID-19 while staying there. His bedridden grandmother, whose house was beside theirs, caught the virus too and passed away after a few weeks. He came back home to me as a different person after a month. In his grief, he started pushing everyone away, including me. During his anger stage, he was partly blaming me for her death. He started bringing up all our differences which we did not consider issues before. He said that he was only forcing himself to stay child-free for me, and because of this, he is no longer sure whether we should still stay together. I thought this was all an effect of grief and requested that he doesn't make any major life decisions until he feels better. We agreed to revisit this issue after a few months, and in the meantime, we'll break up our engagement but still stay as a couple. I didn't want to be engaged to someone who isn't sure about us, and I am aware that the issue of whether to have kids or not could be a deal breaker. It's been 2 very painful months and he is starting to heal. I can still feel some emotional distance between us, but he no longer actively shuts me out. I know this is great, but I can't help but still feel lost. In my early 20s, I decided to be child-free but really didn't think much of it again until the talk. I am still taking my time to think about it deeper, and mentioned that my partner does too, since his reaction might have only been because of his grief. I am not sure if he is really trying to think about it, since it seems like he is already firm with the idea of having kids. I'm not sure if I should give it more time, though. Now, my issue is I feel like our relationship is stuck in a limbo while everything else in our lives moves. It's impossible to make any long-term plans when I don't know if we'll still be together in the future. For instance, I am trying to get a job that would require me to move to a different city, and I don't know whether I should plan to move with him or not. He also doesn't know. Due to our engagement breakup, I also had to rethink all my future plans. I know it's only been 2 months, but I am emotionally exhausted. I am still grieving a failed engagement with no clear way of how to move forward. Too long did not read. Grieving boyfriend changed mind about not having children. Now the relationship is stuck in a limbo. Apply for the job. Never hold yourself back in case something changes. It sounds like you love each other very, very much, and you're both unable to accept that your paths are irreconcilably different now. Sometimes love is not enough. I wish you the best. I would apply and interview for the job, but I'd also encourage him to find a grief therapist. Seems like there are numerous things he needs to address with a professional and learn the tools to move through grief in a healthy way. Until then, you need to put yourself first, not in a bad way, to protect your own future while there is no certain future with him. I guess I'd say examine your feelings and see if you're interested in this future he now wants, and if not, walk. Why not couples counseling? It sounds better than immediately breaking up or living in limbo for a long time. A trained professional might help you to separate grief from potential long-term differences you didn't realize were there. He is kinda keeping you around back as he either think you will change your mind, or he doesn't want to be without his support system, aka you, until he finds someone who wants kids and is compatible with him. Take the job op and break up. You are wasting your time with someone who is pushing you away. Spending time with his family as an adult probably made him re-evaluate the no kids option. If he is waving now, chances are he is leaning towards kids, which is no negotiable for couples. I suggest you'll pursue the job. Once you two are apart, it'll become more clear whether or not you should be together. Your relationship is in trouble, and it is more than just grief over an elderly bedridden grandma. She was at the end of her life, and the outcome with or without COVID would not be unexpected. You might want to review our fence-sitter too. I think there are better ways he could have addressed the subject with you again. Was he a poor communicator before all of this? Grief is a horror. He will not be himself for a while. But a lot of the things that he is bringing up are deeper truths. This relationship is over. I had a 5-year otherwise great relationship fall apart because we didn't agree on having kids. I'm child-free, so was she until she changed her mind. Don't waste any more of your time and energy on this. Been there. Don't waste your time. You won't get today back. I know it hurts, but it will hurt more later if you hold on. If it isn't a heck yes, it's a no. Keep on living. You can only make decisions based on the now. There are so many maybes and what ifs in life, and we only have the knowledge we know in this moment. Your situation could go either way. If you wait around, you might have regrets. If you leave, you might have regrets. Some regret is a normal part of living, so it makes sense to base decisions on the present, which in your case is that you are no longer on the same page, and that's okay. Best wishes X. You never mentioned the reason you decided not to have children in the first place. I think that's an important factor. Lol, was anyone in this situation fully vaccinated? Break it off. Move for new job. If the relationship is meant to be, it will return. Never put your life on hold for a relationship. If he wants kids and you don't, that's a deal breaker 100%. Give it a good 12 months for all the grief to settle. For what it's worth, I had never wanted kids. Then in my early 30s had similar death grief. Did a backflip. Suddenly wanted kids. Changed overnight literally. It happens. For real. If he truly wants kids, and you don't, it's a deal breaker. And you would owe it to him to break things off and give him a chance to have a family. The last thing you want is to grow old with this guy, who would resent you once you're older, i.e. his grandma's age, with no kids or family. He will forever be wondering, what if? This is already over. Move on. Sometimes emotions, like grief, expose truth. He may have said it in grief, but most likely those are inner thoughts that he wouldn't say cause they would hurt you. It does sound like you guys are moving down different paths. Maybe you can make it work, but if you are moving away, it'll probably break the relationship because you guys are already on eggshells. I agree with the top comment. Sometimes love isn't enough when your values don't align. I know it's hard and sad, but please think long and hard about what you want versus your partner. I'm sure you both are great people but never love your life for others. I am paying for making the same mistakes right now. I don't understand why you break off an engagement but not separate. You're obviously incompatible and you're the one punishing him for grieving and have a change of heart. Everyone can change their mind about wanting children or not, but don't change your mind to keep the man because it will never work. Love is not enough to keep people together. Time for you to get a job and start rethinking your future plans. Let this man be free. Think of how beautiful or sexy you are 24/7. This will help you build the confidence you need in order to get over his negativity, and you'll also find that you're gonna be okay if he cheats. Mainly because you've been exceeding your own limitations by positive thinking. Be selfish. Sounds like you need to talk to him. It seems to me that the time apart has given him chances to reassess the relationship. I don't think it's anything you did, but maybe he's in a different place in life at this time. Maybe he's realized he wants kids after all. You're still in your 20s, so it wouldn't be unusual to change one's mind about such important issue, especially in light of illness and loss. Good luck. I'm in the exact same situ opposite about kids. We planned on having one kid for sure. Then because of financial situation he hesitated and we said we will only do when we were stable again. We had a big argument last week and out of nowhere he was dead serious he didn't want kids anymore. Mind you, all our plans and life were based around the idea. So yeah, I completely understand the feeling of not knowing what to do now. There's no plans anymore, future seems like in a limbo and now we have different life goals. I already have kids so it will be okay if I don't have more, but definitely feel lied and betrayed about all the plans we no longer have. This is a difficult situation. His views about children could just be a temporary reaction to his grief. On the other hand, I have seen men do this before. A sudden loss, or even seeing friends having children, suddenly shifts their own position on having children. Sometimes I think it happens because in some societies, men aren't socialized to think about having children in the same way women are, so they don't ever really seriously explore their feelings about the issue until they are forced to confront them as an older adult. I wouldn't put off making future life plans about your career. As he already seems to have one foot out of the door, and is not making you any promises, I think you have to put yourself first right now. I really don't think the kids issue is the biggest thing here. He has completely changed as a person and blames you for his grandmother dying. Do you still want to be with someone like that? It sucks for your boyfriend that he's grieving his grandmother. That hurts. But don't put your life on hold because he's going through some tough times. Your relationship was already quite strained if an argument led to him moving in with his parents, and now he's rethinking this whole thing. You can't make decisions based on what might happen, and if you always wait for others to make their decisions first, you may never get your turn. You said he seems firm with the idea of having kids, which means he apparently hasn't changed his mind from what he thought when he came back. Why do you think giving it more time will change anything? It sounds like he has some pent-up aggression, and a lot of emotions all over the place, and maybe he isn't being true with himself about his feelings of having kids, which is why it has come out now. It does sound like you may be uncompatible. Lots of great advice, but I would say apply for the job. A lot here is not things you can come back from, kids, accusations of murder, and if he does come around when you talk about the job, you don't lose an opportunity. Or if he still wants to commit to you but wants to stay, you can just decline the job offer. However much I loved someone, I couldn't get over them blaming me for something that ended in the death of a loved one. That was by no stretch of the imagination my fault. However much they are grieving, there is no reason for throwing around accusations of that nature. I think the other comments are really useful. Something else that strikes me is that breaking up is also not an eternal position. If you do break up now because it's not working now, that doesn't mean you all can't revisit in the future when circumstances change again. Which doesn't mean promise you all can get back together or to wait for him. But make a decision based on what is true now, and you can also make more decisions in the future based on what is true then. It's not in limbo, it's over. These are huge, canyon-sized goal gaps. I usually try hard to find a path to green in this sub, believe me, there isn't one here. I agree with everyone else. Don't hold yourself back. Get that job and tell him about it. I think it might help in getting the answers you need from him. I wish you the best of luck with everything. This relationship's been in the gutter for far longer than 2 months. Your fiancé ran off and abandoned ship over y'all's fighting. Your engagement's been downgraded to dating, possibility of children's flip-flopping. Really sounds like this relationship's been to the breaking point, and I don't think grief's a major factor. It just doesn't sound like it's working. You're only in limbo because you're not sure if he's even committed to this relationship anymore. I don't think drawing it out's going to help unless you get counseling. Stop blaming grief for your failing relationship. If he's just not committed anymore, you might have to let him go. Go to this job and he either follows you or he doesn't. Take a job in a new city is a great way to end this relationship. It's like walking instantly into a new life. You guys are dead in the water and he's throwing up signs left and right that he doesn't want to be with you. His grandma's deaths and being child-free sound like excuses to push you away. Do you leave? Which is exactly what you should do. No more long talks about it. No more giving it time. Just move on with your life and stop wasting both your time when it's clear it's over. Once you are gone and settled, cut contact for at least 6 months. It'll help you focus on your new life and let you heal. Do not do long distance. It will delay the inevitable. Plan as if you will be by yourself, and if he comes around in time, you can change those plans. If not, it is on him to figure his stuff out. It's interesting to me that you apparently had this great relationship, but you had a fight that necessitated him leaving the house for a few days. That's not normal in healthy relationships. You say he partly blames you for his grandmother's death. Some are assuming this is crazy, but you don't say how she caught COVID. Would he be reasonable to assign you a % blame? More importantly, do you feel a % of blame yourself? That's some baggage I'd face head on. It sounds like your goals have changed, both of you, and this is a relationship with no future. Separate his thoughts on children from his anger and grief. It may be related, it may not. Having someone near you die can clarify what you want. It doesn't mean he will feel differently sometime later. Grief doesn't really just end. It changes you, in lots of ways. The anger might be temporary, but some changes might be permanent. I would tell him to sit down with you and be honest about what you both want, and if it doesn't match up, break up. Don't reconsider kids for him. Don't ask him to give up kids for you. It's too huge of a compromise. Believe him when he says what he wants. Don't assume he's wrong, or mistaken, or confused. And be honest about what you want. You no longer have an engagement, so why are you holding off on making plans? If he truly is your person, then even if you move, he will join you. It is not your fault he got sick. It is not your fault his grandmother died. Don't let his words manipulate you like that. Look closely at his actions. What is he showing you? If kids are a deal breaker, it's best to leave the relationship behind, because either way someone is going to hold resentment. I know it's sad, but it won't be sustainable if you all don't have the same end goal. Honestly, someone blaming me for a relative's death would be a deal breaker in and of itself. Together with this waffling on kids and general arseholery. Grief does not excuse any of this. I lost my dad a year ago January, I didn't act like this. Pursue your job, look after yourself. Don't throw away an opportunity for someone who blames you for grandma and has begun to shit on you about kids. His selfishness is a problem, and his running around in a plague because of a fight is an example of that. He needs to deal with his guilt and get therapy, and if he refuses, then look to your own needs. Don't ever put your life on hold for someone who is anything less than all in on you. What do you want here? There's been so much focus on what he wants. What about you? Put this relationship out of its misery. Whether you know it or not, you're in the process of checking out and it can't end well. Better to release each other now.